Hello Internet. Everyone hears something like it, outlandish claims based on little to no evidence repeated by people who will believe anything. But fear not, Ethnomusicology Explained is here to debunk 5 musical misconceptions. Misconception number 1. Termites eat wood twice as fast when listening to heavy metal music. This is an odd one for a number of reasons. The internet seems to have latched onto this myth with gusto as it's touted by such websites as omg-facts.com and omgfactsonline.com. I'm starting to see a theme here. After a lot of digging through uncited claims, I came across this article from the Miami News from September 18, 1968, in which an entomologist, or bug scientist, by the name of Dr. Trenchard Bolson conducted a study in which he observed 2 groups of termites chewing wood. One was exposed to a blues band and the other to a British rock band. He found that the termites exposed to the rock music chewed through the wood faster than the other group, neglecting all other activities. Sounds fair enough, but there are more holes in this study than 50 Cent's chest cavity. First of all, we aren't given any control group. That's to say, there was no group of termites that weren't exposed to some form of music. Second, no methodology is explained. Third, no measurements are given, and even if they were, the lack of control group would void those results. Fourth, the Miami News is a newspaper and not a peer-reviewed journal. Seems a little odd for a scientist not to make this work published to the academic community, and if it was published, the newspaper makes no mention of where it can be found. Fifth, Dr. Bolson seems to make a ton of assumptions, the worst of which is that it's the type of music that's the important factor, and not other variables such as frequency or volume. Sixth, this is the one study of its kind that I could find, leading me to conclude that this wasn't really a breakthrough either entomologically speaking or in pest control. The problem of this is that we have no other studies to verify Bolson's results. And finally, this article was placed next to another titled Chemical Mace versus a Skunk. I really hope this wasn't the pinnacle of Dr. Bolson's career. Misconception number 2. Mozart was buried in a mass or unmarked grave. He was in fact buried in a commoner's grave. Mozart's funeral arrangements were made by his patron, Baron Gottfried von Cited. Those with any knowledge of royalty know that all this means is that Mozart was not of noble blood and was thus not buried with the nobility, but with the commoners. He was buried in St. Mark's Cemetery in Landstrasse, Vienna, Austria. According to the New Grove Dictionary of Music and Musicians, Mozart was buried in a common grave in accordance with contemporary Viennese custom at the St. Mark's Cemetery outside the city on the 7th of December 1791. His funeral was attended by von Cited as well as other court composers including Antonio Salieri. Side note, despite his highly fictional depiction as a malevolent Machiavellian character in the 1984 film Amadeus, there is no evidence to suggest that Salieri bore any ill will towards Mozart. There is, however, truth to the claim that nobody knows which remains are indeed Mozart's. This is because 10 years after burial, the city claimed the right to dig up commoner graves and reuse them. As such, Mozart's remains remain undiscovered. Misconception number 3. Monacos Orchestra is bigger than its army. There is a commonly held myth that the tiny sovereign state of Monaco has an orchestra bigger than its army. This is, however, false, as its military consists of 255 soldiers, while its orchestra consists of only 85 musicians. Its orchestra could, however, account for 33% of its military if all the musicians were enlisted. Misconception number 4. Hungarian virtuoso pianist Franz Liszt was asked for so many locks of hair that he bought a dog to clip. Although this makes for a funny anecdote about the pianist, there is no record of this actually happening. Listomania, however, was an actual thing. See the video 10 Musical Facts for more details. And women would actually covet anything that was associated with the composer, including cigar ends or coffee dregs, which are clearly so much better than dog hair. Misconception number 5. The Mozart effect. I'm sure almost everyone will have heard of this, the idea that playing Mozart to babies will make them smarter. Unlike most of this list, this misconception has its root in a scientific paper. In 1993, a report published in the journal Nature titled Music and Spatial Task Performance suggested that listening to a Mozart sonata for 10 minutes could raise the IQ of the participants by 8 to 10 points on spatial awareness tests compared to a control group that either didn't listen to music or listened to relaxation instructions. So far so good, but this is where things get a little muddy. The experiment wasn't conducted on children, but college students, and the study clearly stated that the so-called Mozart effect was only temporary and only worked on spatial awareness, not overall intelligence. For our current incarnation of the Mozart effect, we have to thank Don Campbell's 1997 book, The Mozart Effect, tapping the power of music to heal the body, strengthen the mind, and unlock the creative spirit. And his follow-up, The Mozart Effect for Children. There are no conclusive studies that have linked listening to Mozart and sustained heightening of IQ generally, or individual awareness abilities specifically. In fact, several peer-reviewed studies such as The Mozart Effect, An Artifact of Preference, or Prelude or Requiem for the Mozart Effect have suggested that it isn't Mozart's music that's the cause of this slight increase in spatial awareness, but rather any music that is pleasing to the ear of the listener. There is, however, a way in which music may boost your intelligence, but this is a little more difficult than just chilling out to a Mozart sonata. According to Lutz Young's paper, Music Drives Brain Plasticity, learning a musical instrument may increase the musician's memory as well as increasing their attention to detail and self-discipline. It may even keep degenerative brain diseases at bay by stimulating parts of the brain which control motor functions, memory, and audio processing. Links to all the cited works in this video can be found in the description. And there you have it, 5 musical misconceptions debunked. If you have any questions or comments, then feel free to post in the comment section below, and if you want to keep learning about ethnomusicology, musicology, or are just interested in what people think is going on with music, then don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you soon. End screen! Hey guys, GW here from Ethnomusicology Explained, and I just want to say a massive thank you to my first 200 subscribers. You guys are the reason that I keep doing this, so yeah. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for subscribing. I also want to say, thanks for all the other people who maybe haven't subscribed but have commented, liked, have shared with their friends. That is the fuel that keeps all this stuff going. And I've had a lot of support from so many people, just strangers, people who I've never met and may never meet. I've just been so supportive. So thank you all so much. Yeah, and if you're one of my first 200 subscribers, thank you. Secondly, a big shout out to Alison Kaufman over at Musicology for the People. I'll put an annotation here, so you should go check her out. She covers everything from obscure operas to composers and their histories, and she does it really well, very short, easy to digest chunks on things that are actually really quite complicated. And pretty humorous as well. If you want to learn how much of a rebel Bach was in his early days, then definitely go over and check out her stuff. So that's it from me, and again, thank you to all of my subscribers, and I will see you soon.